I think it's time we move on to this last news story here. This one comes from Polygon, written by Michael McWhirter. Sony's plan for 12 live service PlayStation games by 2026 just got cut in half.
Woo!
Shortly after Sony acquired Destiny developer Bungie, the PlayStation maker announced an ambitious plan to launch more than 10 live service games by the end of Sony's 2025 fiscal year. A year later, that plan became slightly more clear. Sony wanted 12 live service games on PlayStation by then. But according to an update from Sony president, COO, and CFO Hiroki Totoki, the company now plans to have just 6 online multiplayer games released by the end of Sony's 2025 fiscal year, which in my opinion is still too many, but which ends March 31st, 2026. The rest will come later, Totoki said during Sony's earnings presentation Q&A session on Thursday. Totoki said in comments translated to English that Sony will have 12 live service titles planned, but the company is currently reviewing them in order to meet gamers' expectations and to ensure that those games will be played and liked for a long time. Mid to long term, we want to expand this kind of service, Totoki said. That's the unchanged policy of our company, but he stressed that quality should be most important when it comes to launching new live service games. Sony hasn't confirmed what all 12 titles are, but we know some of them, and we may also know why some of them have slipped beyond Sony's FY25 target. Developer Naughty Dog is currently developing a new multiplayer experience set in The Last of Us fiction. That game needs more time before it's ready to be shown, the studio said in May. Sony-owned Bungie is also working on a new Marathon game, but the colorful extraction shooter was reportedly recently delayed to at least 2025. There's also a new multiplayer game based on Guerrilla Games' Horizon franchise. I did not know about this one. An online co-op combat game set in fantasy London?
It's a Monster Hunter like
No. This is it's a different game.
Another one.
I missed the semicolon. So these are 2 games. There's a Guerrilla Games Horizon franchise, another game is an online co-op game set in fantasy London by PlayStation London Studios. Fair Games, the AAA multiplayer experience heist game from Jade Raymond's Haven Studios, and Concord from Firewalk Studios. So we actually do know a good handful of the games that could be coming out, but we already know like of 2 or 3 of them that are all getting delayed. So what those 6 games are going to be, who knows? Nobody knows. But
are we on the same page that this is basically like a quiet cancellation, right?
I hope so.
If they're
yes.
holding half of these games until 2025,
yeah,
because by the time we get to 2025, the ones that they're not delaying will have been out, and Sony will be able to see how they perform, right? So if they keep coming out and they flop, Sony's going to say when we get to 2025, yeah, we've looked at the data and we don't think we're going to continue forward with live service games. That's what I think most likely is going to end up happening.
That's what I hope happens, because 12, like I said before, even 6 live service games in the next 2 years or 2.5 years seems insane. But
what do they expect players to do all this time?
Imagine if we were getting 12. Imagine 12 live service games in the next 2.5 years.
Thanks, dude.
Absolutely. No one has that time. No one has that money. Like, crazy. So I am with you, and I hope that, this is basically a way to cancel the game without completely canceling the game, because if they say it's canceled, then they probably lose the shareholder money and stuff like that. Like they lose support. But if they just say it's delayed, they can still pay the staff to keep working on something that's essentially dead. But at least people are getting paid. People are keeping their jobs. Studios are staying open just long enough till they get the next big idea, and then they can move on to that. Because otherwise they're stuck. They're like, all right, we don't got money coming in. They don't have any work to do. Everyone's going to the office and just sitting in the break room. Like, we got to do something.
Here, color in this coloring book.
Yeah. I'm on board with this, and I think it's great. And I hope it turns into like, hey, yep, just shut her down. Because I don't know. It's just this whole, we talked about this before. This whole pivot to doing like live service stuff is honestly kind of surprising, because that's not PlayStation's bread and butter. Not to say it's bad to have them in the portfolio, but have like a handful of them, like 2, maybe 3. But like, so when they announced 12 in 2.5 years. It's like,
Crazy.
Oh my God, what are you thinking? Like, your bread and butter is story driven, adventure, AAA, like campaign story, like focused, single player focused. Give us some killer story, give us some killer combat, give us some killer whatever visuals. Like, it's all about like the gameplay and the visuals and amazing stories and narratives. And to think that like, nah, we're gonna start just making Destiny clones. It's like, oh, okay. Not that Destiny is a bad game by any means, but imagine having 12 Destinies to keep up with. Freaking,
oh my God.
Freaking
Most people
Kojima
don't even have time to keep on top of one.
Yeah, I just like think of like Kojima, our Patreon producer, like talk about Destiny and like how much time that takes to keep up with, as well as like other lives. That's like, I couldn't imagine. Like, imagine
No,
having
thank you.
trying to keep up with 12. And not that you have to. I mean, obviously you can pick and choose, but I guess that even further proves my point. Like, if people have to pick and choose, then you're not making them money. So why make the game in the first place? Because people, you know, aren't going to play the games they don't want to play. I don't know. Crazy. I don't know if you have any other thoughts, but
no, I think this is a good move. We need to focus in. I feel like this was a Jim Ryan decision, and I think once now that he's pretty much out of the picture, I think they're starting to be like, actually, nope, we're not doing that.
Yep. For the better.
Yep.
Thank you so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the whole episode, the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.